I'm a computer man. I'm the Macintosh man with the virus scan. Moving your files all across the land. Some Photoshop filters in After Dark. Get your Microsoft Office, express your quark. Millions of colors with a VRAM chip. How about a system crash that'll make you flip? I'm a computer man. I'm saying Windows 95 is plug and pray. If it's fonts you want, you gotta go to Macway. Log right on as my personal guest. You'll have Macintosh software on your desk. Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best.
Good evening, KSQD listeners. Good evening, Santa Cruz, Monterey, Central Coast, and beyond. My name is Luigi Topics, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers right by the beach here in beautiful Santa Cruz, California. And for the next hour, I am your tour guide into a world of wonder, magic, information, and frustration. That's right, a lot of frustration. That's right, we're talking about the internet and the world of computing. I am your computer man. Welcome, one of the most helpful, friendly tech counters I hope you've ever visited. And I'd like to welcome you to your Tuesday night to your local radio station, your local KSQD Santa Cruz, KSQD, also KSQD Prunedale at 89.5, 89.7, and 90.7 FM. Always online at ksqd.org, as well as our amazing app, which you can download in the Google Play Store and Apple App Store right now. Pretty cool. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your Tuesday night to your local radio station. Stoked to be here with you tonight, talk about computers and all the woes and all the things that are going on. Wow, a lot of stuff going on out there, huh? So we're going to be sticking to a lot of tech. There are some things that kind of delve into other areas of the world we might be talking into, but we're going to be sticking pretty strictly with tech here tonight. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, anything you'd like to share with me tonight, jump on air at ksqd.org. I'm going to get the on air at ksqd.org fired up here in just a second. There we go. And as well as our phone number here at 831-900-5773. That's 831-900-KSQD. See how that spells that? Pretty cool. And you can give me a call here at the station if you have any questions or if you think about anything going on, or if you have any questions with your stuff. Like your machine's acting kind of weird, that's what we're here all about tonight. Most importantly, though, if you're saying to yourself, wow, how am I supposed to get all these steps down? Well, we used to just jump over to ksqd.org. You can download any of our shows from the past 2 weeks at our amazing website under our listening tab. We have a 2-week audio archive. You can check it out and listen to all sorts of good stuff. The news, if there's a music show you want to listen to, it goes back 2 weeks. But if you want to go back a little bit further, you can now find the Computer Man Show on most of your favorite podcast places, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also YouTube. I think we're on YouTube as well now, too. But check it out so you can download us and join and write reviews. Let me know what you want to hear about and all that good stuff right from your phone, anywhere you want to be. And we can be online at ksqd.org. You can be online with KSQD, our app, or on our podcast. Check it out, any of our shows, including the Computer Man Show. So at any point, if you're on the KSQD website and you're going, wow, I really like this stuff. How can I make this better? How can I make sure this is going to be around? Well, we can hit that beautiful candy donate button at the very top. It looks like candy. It looks like shiny. It looks like everything that we want because it allows us to be here. And we love you for it. And hit that donate button, and it allows the system to take over. And as always, we say, I can't volunteer electrons through the board. So unfortunately, we need a little bit of cash, and we love you for it. So it allows us to be here and allows us to not be beholden to anybody. So it's the best way that we could possibly be, and it's the way we've been here for the past 5 years, and we love you for it. So if you'd like to reach out to me after the show, you can always email me, Luigi, Luigi, at ksqd.org. You can always hit me up at the shop, too, Luigi, at pleasurepointcomputers with an s.com. That's Luigi at pleasurepointcomputers with an s.com. Or if we're on air, you got to give me a call, 831-900-5773. It's 831-900-KSQD. And it looks like we probably have a caller calling in right now. Let's see. Is that for you? Let's see what's going on out there. We're going to answer that and see if that's somebody on air right now or if that's somebody for us. We'll see. If you're just checking into this show and you're going, wow, we just stumbled across this. What is this? What is this Computer Man Show? We are all about updates, new devices, testimonials, scams, and most importantly, our call-ins. We're all about what's going on with you out there and your technicals, all the things that are not working properly on your side. Okay, then we are here every Tuesday night from 6 to 7 p.m., and you can get a hold of us here at 831-900-5773, just like this caller is doing right now. Let's see what's going on out in the real world. Hello, you're on with the Computer Man. How can I help you?
Oh, I was wondering if you can help me understand. I'm concerned about food safety of the foods growing in the fields after the Moss Landing fire, and, what will they test for? How will we know? Is this produce going to be sold to us anyway, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be a great question for the last show. We've moved on to the computer show on this section.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But that is absolutely such an important thing after that huge fire that happened down there with lithium-ion batteries and all the particulates, the cobalt and all that stuff. I know that there are a number of resources that the city of Santa Cruz has, as well as the Elkhorn Slough. That would probably be the best place to go at the Elkhorn Slough, and have one of their websites.
My neighbors there, I was going to. Who's going to be able to tell me about? I know we're concerned about the quality of everything because of everything that lives here, besides even ourselves. But what about all that? Is that okay? Is it safe for the guys to go pick it? Blah blah blah.
Right, and they've done a soil test around the Elkhorn Slough. I think it was around 2 miles out for the last 20+ years. So we have a lot of good base data to know.
That's really good to know. Yeah,
but past that 2 mile circle, there's not a lot to see besides just doing some random testing, which I think a lot of people are doing right now. I actually read about that earlier today. So
do we really know what the toxic levels of some of the stuff that's also new to us really is? It as high as they say? I mean, I just have a lot of questions about stuff and feel like we're part of an experiment, sort of.
Yeah, and even the city council had something to do. So there was a meeting either today or yesterday I read about as well. There's a lot of heads talking about it right now.
Okay,
and
both Santa Cruz and Monterey, right? Because I know they were considering putting some in Santa Cruz County too. I mean, another one in Watsonville. I mean, come on.
Right.
I didn't even know they were here. That's the other thing. Is from what I understand from Glenn Church's presentation, they didn't go through at least a secondary process of Board of Supervisor approval when they finally started operating that stuff.
That is kind of interesting, isn't it?
So I'm curious how they get around some of these things sometimes.
I completely agree. Elkhorn Slough, I know that they're doing a lot of stuff on the website there, but every day is new information. So
thanks, and that's a good place for me to check. And thank you for being there. Thank you all for doing what you do. All right.
Of course, really appreciate you. And thank you for listening out there.
You got it. Okay.
Right.
Bye
Take care.
for now.
Bye-bye. At least the phone line's open for you here at 831-900-5773. It's 831-900 KSQD. We love hearing from you. If you want to give us a call about anything that's going on the world, we'll talk to you about it. Let's do it. All right, so go moving on today with today's show. If you want to give me a call. Also, we have on air at ksqd.org is firing up right here. Let me just make sure that's up and running. There it is. Bam. All right, cool. So from there, let's see what we've got going on in the world. All right, AI. That whole AI thing that just popped up, right? All the stuff going on with DeepSeek, the number one app right now in the App Store. First of all, as a listener to the Computer Man, I would highly recommend not downloading that app right now, okay? Why? Yeah, it's on the App Store. It should be fine, right? TikTok's not on the App Store anymore. But that app is, first of all, it's got some stuff in their privacy. There is no TD or TOSDR, Terms of Service didn't read, TOSDR.org filing for this yet. There might be really soon. But in the DeepSeek privacy policy, one of the things it says in the user input, it says when you use our services, we may collect your text or audio input, prompt, uploaded files, feedback, chat history, or any other content you provide to our model and services, right? And then also it says we store the information we collect in a secure server located in the People's Republic of China. People's Republic of China has the Great Firewall, and on the Great Firewall behind it, anything that is in the People's Republic of China can be taken by the Chinese government at any moment. That's part of their doctrine. That's part of how they work over there. So if we are storing information, personal information, personal identifiable information, on servers in another country that can be accessed by another government, you can do with what you want with that. Excuse me. Also, there is a lot of other things like, I've seen screenshots of people using it. It's also, it's a Chinese state media backed organization. So if you go and say, what happened in Tiananmen in 1989? It'll say, sorry, that's beyond my current scope. Let's talk about something else. And it says, tell me about what happened in the USA Capitol attack in 2021. It said, the USA 2021 Capitol attack occurred January 6th when a bunch of supporters and and it has a whole description of it. So it's still being, it's still censored but the whole background of it is, it's just kind of scary signing up for it right now. You can watch friends do it and stuff like that, but as a listener to this show, I would not recommend signing into it. It is, again, the most popular Apple and Android open source app this week in the App Store. But you basically turn yourself into a potential vulnerability by downloading it. If you thought TikTok was a security risk on your phone, DeepSeek not only collects your IP address, but also collects your keystroke patterns, your device information, stores it in China, where then that data is then vulnerable to arbitrary requisition from the Chinese government, right? So it seems like a lot of people just want to be on the latest thing, and fear of missing out, FOMO, trying stuff. And I'm all about, I jumped on like ChatGPT and stuff, and I try that stuff. I still use it for here and there, just to look at things and try stuff, to show people how the breadth and scope of it. But with this, there was a steady stream of American personal information, personal identifiable information heading into China, and TikTok is now gone. So now we have this new thing that everyone's signing up for that will just streamline all that information right back into China for it. So, it's kind of like I had one person describe it as a free and a rusty 1980s era Ford Econoline van rolling through with a free candy moniker spray painted on the side with blacked out windows and a mattress in the back for the IT world. So, yeah, and I mean, it's called DeepSeek, and so they said it's deeply seeking your personal intel. Welcome. Yeah. Okay. So, but there is this again. This is a new thing, and what the science behind it, which is, and I'm slowly learning about it as the information comes out about it, was that they had this whole AI model that didn't cost billions of dollars. It cost $5.9 million. And evidently, from what I understand in the layman's terms, is that if you use this service, if you use ChatGPT, it's pulling from like everything, right? Pulling from everything, which takes a lot of power. This service only pulls from a few things, pulls from a few books, opposed to pulling from everything, which could be good for speed, et cetera, or could be bad for knowledge and information, depending on which books it's pulling from. So, again, I would not download this app onto my phone. It's just asking for everything and anything, and it's brand new, and we don't know much about it. So I would stand back and let others kind of make the mistakes of doing that stuff with it, and if they want to use it, you can read about it and stuff online. But we have AI programs that work here just as well, and they are pretty secure and there's nothing being sold to third governments, et cetera, stuff like that. Moving on, in other hacks and annoyances, United Health, our friends that have been in the news since last year when someone had a problem in the streets. United Healthcare confirms 190 million Americans affected by a Change Healthcare data breach. So there was a ransomware attack at its Change Healthcare unit last February. It affected 190 million people in America, double the estimates of what they thought before. So it says Change Healthcare, that's the name of it, has determined the estimated total number of individuals impacted by the Change Healthcare cyber attack is approximately 190 million. The vast majority of these people have already been provided an individual or substitute notice. The final number will be confirmed and filed with the Office of Civil Rights at a later date. So it was, I guess, in 2024 of February last year, there was a huge cyber attack and breach of medical data that caused outages across the U.S. healthcare system. I don't know if you remember that at all. And then Change Healthcare, which is a health tech giant and United Healthcare subsidiary, and also one of the largest handlers of health medical data and patient records, was hacked. And it was also one of the biggest processors of healthcare claims in the United States. So it was a theft of massive quantities of health and insurance-related information, some of which was published online by the hackers who claimed responsible for the breach. This one, I believe, was the one that they posted it and then posted some of it and said, hey, we want $1 million. And United Healthcare is like, screw you. And they're like, well, we're going to post it all. And United Healthcare is like, screw you. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to sell it to whoever wants it. And they're like, we don't care. We don't care. Do whatever you want. And that's, I think, literally how it went down. It was just something simple like that. And the hackers went, okay. And they went and sold it. So, woohoo, that's cool. One of the... I don't have any answers to that. You have to use healthcare stuff and their targets, and then they don't spend their money on security. They're spending it on other things, and it happens. And then all your private data is out. And what do they care? I mean, what are they out for? So anyway, it's just ugly and gross. Also, Meta had said that it didn't force users to follow the President Trump on Facebook and Instagram. That was the whole thing where most people that were following the POTUS account and it switched over to them said that, but then a lot of people said they couldn't undo it, and then people said that, hey, I was never following the POTUS account, and all of a sudden I was. So I think it's gross. And also another thing that just is manipulated, and they can say whatever they want. There's nothing to check. There's nowhere to go back and be like, well, it was that way, and you guys are saying other thing. No, it's their systems, and they're like, no, that wasn't how it was. You don't know what you're talking about. It's not how it was. And you're like, well, can I check? Nope. That's how it was. Moving on. You're like, oh, okay. So it's not even worth really talking about. It's just gross. Okay, another thing. Apple returns and releases iOS 18.3. It has visual intelligence and notification summary improvements. Yeah. The notification summaries have been hilarious. If you're curious about any of them that are kind of funny, you can do a quick Google search for Apple Intelligence notification summary hilarious or something like that. And you can find these things that, you'll get 2 or 3 text messages that get melded together that say, Dad murdered the dog, be home by 6, like that kind of stuff. You're like, wait, what? You're like, oh no, there was a murder on the news, and then also the dog needs to be fed, and I'm going downtown, and then it pushes all together. There was a murder. Your dog was murdered downtown by your father or something. It puts these incredible stories together that have nothing to do with anything that's actually going on. But it's a new system, and I guess they're fixing it in 18.3. It's 6 weeks after 18.2 came out, so they had some fixes to do. I have still not downloaded iOS 18. To be honest, it's mainly because of the Photos app. I've seen other people's Photos app, and there's a feature. I know this is silly, but there's a feature on the Photos app, and it might be there now, but I haven't seen it yet. But on iOS 18, it doesn't have it. Where on my Photos app, I can go and there's a thing called Places, and I can see a world map. And it drops all of my photos into the places on the world map where I've taken photos. So I've gone to Iceland, I've gone to Ireland, and I've gone to Norway, so it shows on this world map, it shows all these photos that are there, and I can click on a location and see the photos of that day of where I was. And you can, it's a really easy way. I use it all the time when people. If I go to a job site and I haven't been there for 3 years and I took photos of the rack and they're like, oh, do you remember what this was? And I go, no, I don't. And to go back and look, I could maybe go back on my calendar and find the date that I actually went to that job site. But it's actually just easier to find it on the map and then zoom in, and the photos I took at that GPS location are right there. So I can just click on that, and there's 20 or 30 photos I took that day or throughout the course of the years of going there. And I can scroll back and see, there's a photo I took that one day, 5 years ago of the network rack, and here it is. And that would have taken me forever to dig back and look. Granted, I could, again, look back at the day on the calendar and gone back to that day, but I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And this way it was just really easy to use just use the map and go on from there. All right, so moving on from there. Let's see. But 18.3 is going on. It's coming out. It adds visual intelligence support for adding events to the calendar app and identifying plants and animals. Okay. The update removes Apple Intelligence notification summaries for news and entertainment apps in an effort to prevent misleading alerts. So they couldn't fix it, so they had to just get rid of it, which is pretty funny. Italicizes all summaries done by Apple Intelligence. It also italicizes it, so it's not just reading across, because last time it was just reading those straight across, and people are like, what happened? What's going on? And you have to actually go through. So not only are you reading the summary, but then you have to go through, and now you have to read the email because you got shocked by the summary, and you have to go read the email to make sure the summary is incorrect. And usually it was. So it's a great system, right? Now I'm reading twice as much stuff. So it says visual intelligence with camera control, only on iPhone 16 models. It adds an event to the calendar from a poster or a flyer. That's actually kind of cool. So you take a picture of a poster or a flyer that has an event that's happening, and Apple Intelligence will read that poster and actually add an event calendar invite, or add a calendar event in your calendar from that poster, one swipe. That's kind of cool. That's the type of stuff that AI should be used for, right? That's the kind of stuff we could do. It also easy to identify plants and animals. Right now, if you go to a plant or animal and you swipe up, but if you are not on iOS, you're on iOS 17, it'll tell you, this is a type of flower. This will tell a type of dog. Take a picture of my cat. It thinks it's one of 6 different types of cats, depending on what the photo looks like. Notification summaries are coming out. Easily managed status for notification summaries, updated styles, notification summaries for news and entertainment. Also has some bug fixes for the calculator, and the keyboard might disappear when there's a Siri request. They fixed that. Also resolved an issue where the audio playback continues until a song ends, even after closing Apple Music. So they're fixing things still. Again, I'm not on iOS 18 yet. I'm still on 17. 17 is fine. I think they're still putting out updates for 17 as well, too. There was an update about 2 weeks ago for 17, but I haven't checked it lately, and that's not really exciting. So anyway, if you're into iOS 18, cool. If you haven't done iOS 18, see, this thing's already pushing 18.3 tonight, and I'm not going to do it. But you can if you want. If you're on iOS 18, I highly recommend doing the upgrades at this point. It's not getting any better until these updates roll through. So, yeah. Alrighty, let's see anything else going on. Oh, also, last thing I want to let you guys know, we're going to start hitting this quite a bit, basically every week. TurboTax, it's tax season coming up, right? TurboTax's parent company, Intuit, uses a predatory business practice to prevent you from using cheaper tax prep software. It has been known, it has been told, we talk about it every year. This is the 5th year we're talking about it. Consider using cheaper, better, reputable alternatives this tax season. TurboTax has been scamming the American public for years. They've been doing it forever, including myself. They overcharge for basic tax filing services and pressure users to pay when they don't need to. They utilize dark patterns in their software and lobby to stop the IRS from building its own public filing system for citizens to use. So you can go to freetaxusa.com. This is a legitimate website, freetaxusa.com. And you can do $0 federal, $15 state filing, freetaxusa.com. Check it out. I would highly recommend it. Okay, so going back real quick before we go into our email questions here, I want to just talk about DeepSeek again. DeepSeek is the Chinese AI. So what happened was it just started up its R1 model. Someone had just emailed to ask exactly why is this such a big deal. Okay, so going back into it, it says that Silicon Valley is having this kind of like a panic attack about it because the Chinese company trained their model for $5.6 million, opposed to the billions that OpenAI and Google has been throwing around to train their AIs. And they're asking the government for more, right? Billions more, like 500 billion more that they're going to promise for this, right? And so the Chinese company came out and said, well, we did this for $5.6 million. And evidently Meta, the Facebook company, has been having all of these super secret meetings or whatever, trying to gather all their engineers into these these rooms to try to figure out how they did it, which means that they did something right. Not Meta, but the other company. Silicon Valley AI companies have been saying this whole time that there's no way to train AI any cheaper, and what they need is more power, which equates to more money because they need to buy more stuff. But DeepSeek pulled it off by optimizing hardware and letting the model basically teach itself rather than using the model to have it go out and learn and telling it to how to learn. Some companies have already heavily invested in using AI are now rethinking about which model they're using. DeepSeek's R1 section is a fraction of the cost, but also much slower, evidently. Again, I have not used it. I've just seen and read and watched people use it. I'm not going to download it, but it's interesting. And I'm interested just because of the shockwaves around the tech industry that it's caused. And it just makes the AI companies in America seem like we did something a little bit harder than it should have been, but some other company figured out an easier way. I mean, we're talking AC and DC current almost here. When AC was out, it's like, oh wow, or when DC came out, it was, okay, here it is. It doesn't really light bulbs very well. There has to be service stations every 200 to 300 feet, to propagate it along. And then in comes AC, right? And AC power, all of a sudden you can have propagation stations miles apart, and the light bulbs are brighter, and it's less dangerous, and da da da. So that could be something like this, or it could just be another AI model that we're going to learn how to use for something else. And also this big thing, it's largely open source. So the programs are on GitHub. You can jump on GitHub and download it if you wanted to. All the big US tech companies have been trying to keep everything behind a veil so that they can maximize their control, profits, all that good stuff. And also disregarding safeguards and oversights based on that, right? I guess now there's all the oversights just got lifted for AI, which... Okay, so on top of being kind of ineffectual, they've also denied the ethical controls for the sake of progress, which they kind of delivered, but kind of it's been back and forth, right? So, and also DeepSeek isn't this new thing. So Mixtral has been out. That's an open source model, and they've been going toe-to-toe with ChatGPT for a while. But DeepSeek is the first to copy OpenAI and just release an easy-to-use chat interface that's free to the public, and that's why it's caught up and gotten so big. ChatGPT's been around for a while. ChatGPT 4 is the thing that came out like last year that really kind of made everything go by storm because it was finally one that really worked, that you could actually conversationally talk to. Okay. And again, AI is like this huge paradigm in Silicon Valley, like hundreds of billions of dollars. Everybody is sunk into AI. Everybody is. So it's opposed to DeepSeek, which is like 50 programmers in China who have just developed a better model. and release it by open source. So it's like, well, why would you pay for OpenAI when you could go to the open source model, right? Like, why could you do that if you didn't need to? So So again, just really big paradigm in AI. Everything sunk everything into it. Everything is AI right now. And this other company come along and go, hey, you don't need to do that. You can do it for cheaper. So I think that's what everyone's really freaking out about. And it's this whole China thing and the TikTok stop. And then all of a sudden this is now here and American accounts going into China. And is that a big deal? Is that a big problem? Is that a problem? It is a problem. So it's, I don't know. But every mid manager and big tech's probably panicking today. So yeah. So that is, I hope that answers it a little bit better. I had a little write-up here, I read it because it was requested. So there you go, people. If you have requests, thoughts, comments, concerns, likes to talk about anything that we're going on in the world of tech that you maybe aren't hearing about, I'd love to hear from you. 831-900-5773. I've actually had a couple listeners come by the shop and tell me about different things they want to hear about. Last week we talked, actually I kind of skirted the issue. Didn't want to talk about some of the stuff that was more politicized about, in fact, I had a whole packet of things about the TikTok ban, the whole auto following of the new president, the searching on Meta where it would block DNC stuff but show you RNC stuff. It would show that it was blocking Democrat searches, but then all of a sudden it would show Republican searches, and but that's quote unquote was now been fixed now or something. So it's. The main thing, I think, is that your phone is a portal. It's a portal of information, not only to you, but from you. What you do, how you do. With the thing with with the DeepSeek, when you actually are in DeepSeek and you're the way you're scrolling through, or even if you're in Instagram, when you're scrolling and you stop for that split second to look at something, even if you don't click on it, but you stop for a second and then you continue on to scroll, that is recorded. That is then put into an algorithm to show what made you stop. What was it about this one thing that made you stop for a second? Where did you put your thumb when you started scrolling again? And they design things around that and get all the information from all of us and compile it into stuff and to create models. And it's just creepy. And that's how this phone is. It's not my friend. This phone is not my friend. And if we can just remember that when we're doing things on it, then, it won't bite us as hard. It won't. It still bite us. There'll still be things we're handing out, but it's not going to be as bad. Okay. Let's see if we can talk about something good that's going on. All the AI stuff, I'm fascinated by it. I think it's really cool the amount of competition that we have. I think it's cool about the leaps and bounds that we've been able to make. ChatGPT is fascinating. You can, in fact, tonight as a joke, when I was talking with one of my friends, he asked exactly, he's like, well, what do you even use it for? I'm like, you can use it for anything. I'm like, right now, I told ChatGPT to I asked it to write a 5-paragraph sonnet about a 1970 Dodge. And it did. It wrote the sonnet about in like rhyming words and 5 paragraphs long. That's crazy. That's crazy that we can just do that. And the images and AI is fun. There's some really cool things that are coming about it, but it's just all the negative stuff that we hear and the scary stuff that could come from it that makes us all go, Also, battleforthenet.com. Please check it out, battleforthenet.com. Every day, net neutrality is threatened, and we want to make sure that net neutrality stays around. Net is neutral for everybody. Net neutrality basically means when you go online, you can go anywhere that you please without paywalls. That could be going away if net neutrality goes away. You could think of it as a cable stream. So we want to be sure of that, and be careful with the way you vote. You can reach out to all of your people. If you're in California, we've got a pretty strong legislation that's going to make sure that that's taken care of, and we're solid with it, but it could go weird in the rest of the country and trickle down to us. So battleforthenet.com, that's the best place to keep up on it, make sure everything is copacetic today, and you can check it tomorrow and make sure that's good as well. Let's see, anything else? Oh, someone also asked me, when we talk about AI, some of the good things that AI can do. And I used the other day, I had to come up with a number of tags because the Computer Man Show is now on Apple Podcasts, and they were asking for some tags. And so I came up with a couple tags myself, but I wanted to think of more so people can search for it. And so I just typed into ChatGPT, can you give me a list of 30 tags that have to do with a computer radio show separated by commas? And it did. And I could use them. And like 99% of them were usable tags, and they were spelled correctly and they're separated by commas. So I could just copy and paste it. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. It's the, I'm doing a certification course right now for Security Plus. And there are 170 videos to watch. And I kind of wanted to make a calendar. So there's 170 videos, there's 33 exams. So I wanted to make a calendar of all the 170 videos, the 33 exams over the next 3 months. And I plugged that into ChatGPT, and it literally output a calendar for me. And I didn't have to spend the 20 or 30 or 40 minutes to do that. It just, just dropped it out. And so that's cool. And so I everything can be weaponized, but there's some really cool stuff coming down the line. There's just cool stuff coming down the line. Okay. Last minute here before we go to break. Anything else going on? Oh, of course, check out cyber101.com. Just a good open source place that these two dudes created to teach people about cybersecurity. So cyber101.com, they have some little tests, they have little tricks and things like that. You can see how things work. And if you're just curious about certain types of cybersecurity or certain types of attacks, it's a great place to start, a great place to go and just get your learn on, right? Cyber101.com. There's no signups. If you want, you can sign up to have little classes and stuff, but they don't data mine. They don't email annoyingly stuff out to you or anything. It's just a good, solid place to learn some information. So stick around here with us at the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, KSQD 90.7 FM, and online at KSQD.org. We're going to be right back after some very important underwriting from our incredible partners that we have here at KSQD. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Support for KSQD comes from Good Times and the first annual Pizza Week, January 29th through February 8th. Local pizzerias and restaurants offering Pizza Week specials and meal combos. All Pizza Week details at santacruzpizzaweek.com. Thank you, Good Times, for supporting community radio K-Squid.
KSQD thanks the Santa Cruz Wharf for its support. After large swells caused the collapse of a portion of the wharf and temporary closure of all businesses, the wharf is once again open to visitors. The city is covering the first 2 hours of parking on the wharf. More information at cityofsantacruz.com. Thank you, Santa Cruz Wharf, for supporting community radio. K-Squid.
K-Squid goes mobile. With your new KSQD app, you can take the squid everywhere. Connect with your favorite host. Learn about new music. Text a request or comment. Browse our podcasts. Record a message. Listen uninterrupted while browsing. Get our iOS or Android-friendly app in your app store or at ksqd.org.
My name is Luigi Topics, owner-operator of Pleasure Point Computers and the host of the Computer Man Show, a 1-hour call-in show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Viruses, slowdowns, scams, and updates. Computers can be a pain, and I'll help you through it.
Send me an email with your request. If it's hardware you want, baby, I'm the best. I'm the computer.
If it has an on switch, we'll probably talk about it on the Computer Man Show Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on KSQD 90.7 FM Santa Cruz.
Get into a computer. Hi, I'm Bobby Bishop, host of Be in the Night, bringing you the best I can with jazz, love songs, and soul. Join me on Tuesday evenings from 7 to 10 p.m., playing the classics straight ahead and introducing you to the latest artists and composers. That's Tuesday nights from 7 to 10 p.m. right here on listener-supported KSQD 90.7 FM, Santa Cruz.
That's right. If you're a listener of this show, you need Bobby B to light all this jazz, get all this computer stuff out of your head. That's right. Be in the Night coming up at 7 o'clock. Just stick around. Let it happen to you. It's coming great. And Bobby B's curating his shows as he always does, making them perfect for you. So all you got to do is just sit there and listen. And again, KSQD is one of the best places for jazz. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights from 7 to 10. All you got to do is let it happen to you, and it's awesome. So stick around. 7 o'clock, Be in the Night coming up. Also on this week from the bookshelf, this week from the bookshelf, Gary Shapiro talks to Pulitzer Prize winning Jonathan Eig. Jonathan Eig. Thank you. I just want to make sure I said his name right. About his biography of Martin Luther King. It's titled King a Life. That's from the bookshelf Wednesday at 6 here at KSQD 90.7 FM, 89.7 FM, and 89.5 FM, and always online at ksqd.org. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the Computer Man Show here on KSQD Santa Cruz, KSQD 90.7 FM, and online at ksqd.org. We're going to get to some of these email questions we've got coming in. Yes. Okay, so we're going to do, let's see, I got this. There was one I wanted to see if I wanted to get to, if that was totally at the end, Or the CAPTCHA hacks. Yes. Actually, before we do that, let's get to a caller request. We have someone coming in right now. Let's see what's going on in the real world. Hello, you're on with the Computer Man. How can I help you?
Hey, Luigi, it's Ray. How you doing?
Hey, Ray. Good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, thank you for bringing up the battle for the net a little while ago. I was thinking about that a couple minutes before you were talking about that, and you said something about how California has legislation that will protect us somehow.
Well, our people are fighting for it. Yeah, our senators and everything are on the side for net neutrality. More than that, if anything. Yeah, maybe not legislation, but our people are on our side for it. They want net neutrality.
Right. Well, that's great, but I don't know how that works. I wondered if you had any ideas, like, this is all, national and World Wide Web and all of that. How are they going to, if the powers that be decide to kill net neutrality, how are we going to have it here when they have it nowhere else?
That I don't know. To be honest, I think it's just that we have our people that are from California that say, "Hey, that are fighting for it," and if it goes away at a national level, I think that it goes away at a national level. Because at that point, then it says to the ISP companies, "Hey, you guys aren't a utility anymore. You guys can, have paywalls. You can have fast lanes. You can have, like packages, sports packages and stuff, and you can just do that." So I'm not really sure. All I know is that in California, we are the legislators that are out there, the people that are actually fighting for us, want net neutrality, and they push for it every day. And I as far as I know, we would be one of the last to have to deal with it. But I don't know. I just I don't know.
And how much of that, the technology for a lot of that probably comes from Silicon Valley, right?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A lot of the stuff like Motorola and Aris and stuff like that, the modems and things, the technology is some of it's designed here and then, made in Taiwan, et cetera. But yeah, like with Comcast and stuff, if that's what they decided, it'd be very easy for them to all of a sudden just start throttling things and start setting up paywalls and all that kind of stuff for different services. They could do that very easily.
Well, we kind of have that by default in a way as it is. Like I go all the time. I will type in a website and I get 5 or 8 other things that come up before that one.
Sure.
That are all, they pay more to have their ads come up first, right?
No, that's true. Yes. So this would be something where you actually would click on one of those sites, and maybe if it was a sports site or something, you couldn't go to it because you didn't have the sports package. Or if it was a movie site or a video site, say, "Oh, sorry, you don't have the video streaming package. It's an extra $10 a month," and then that video would play. So yes, Google is doing that for you, but also when you hit www.whatever.com and hit that enter key and you throw out that phishing line, and then and then you reel back the website back to your computer from the internet, that's where it would stop. It would you'd reel it out, and it'd be like, "Oh, did you have that? Are you signed in the correct way? Or is your credit card paid? Do you have your account set up? Okay, you can then watch your sports. You can then get that sports score or get that local news or whatever. It would be like a super paywall, kind of like what we experience when you go to like New York Times but don't have a subscription.
Well, the world would be a better place if they did that for sports, but no, just kidding. I know a lot of people are into it. It just doesn't float my boat anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I worry about the net neutrality, and I've been worried about it for years because they've been, threatening, and they've actually killed it a couple of times,
right,
for brief periods through the FCC, and with different people who are running the FCC have been for it and against it, and not, it's been batted back and forth, and luckily I've never really seen a big detrimental effect when it's so-called not had net neutrality in our favor here, but
right.
But it's kind of worrying me now with all the the people who are running the show up there right now.
Yeah. Yeah, there could be some crazy stuff, and the infrastructure's there to be able to just flip a switch. That's all you have to do. It's not hard to do that. If something goes down the pipe and it was decided that, hey, this is how it is now, it'd be very easy for that stuff to be implemented overnight. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like what happened to TikTok, right? One
Sure.
second it was there, the next second it wasn't, and then a couple days later, it was again.
Yeah, it's just as easy as that one person has that control to the admin center of the app center, and just removing that code, just saying nope, and just all of a sudden it just isn't around anymore.
Yeah, right. So we have the guy with his finger on the big red button, and somebody else with their finger on the
delete key,
the big black button, or whatever that is.
Yeah, man. It's super weird. It's very odd. It's the same way though. Like if you go and search for like a movie soundtrack or something like that, like everyone's all this streaming stuff. I don't need my CDs anymore. And then you go online, you go, oh, I want to look for like the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey soundtrack. Oh, sorry, half of those artists are from Canada, and you don't get the licensing down here, and half of the other ones are from over here, and those have been removed. And so you don't have the soundtrack anymore. I'm like, well, I shouldn't have thrown away my CD.
Yeah, right.
And that's where we're at right now. It's just it's kind of gross, and by kind of I mean totally.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of CDs anyway, because at least if you buy a CD, you get something to the artist who performed on it, and the engineers who were part of it, and even for whatever this is worth, the record company that produced it or whatever. But that's a whole other story. What's happened to the music industry because of all these online services, so-called services. They're sure not serving the musicians.
Nope. No, they are not. Yeah, the Spotify CEO made more money than any musician ever, like last year or something like that. They did some article like that. Just like, gross.
Yeah, sickening. Well, hey, I don't want to eat up any more of your time. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, and thanks for being there as always, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, check out battleforthenet.com. It has a lot of good information on there. It'll tell you a little bit more about the net neutrality and give you kind of sink your teeth into it. Also has a form that you can send off to the people and the powers that be. So it's pretty cool. Battleforthenet.com. It's awesome. Ray, always good to hear from you, man.
Everybody else does too.
That's right. Take care, boss. Thank you. Bye-bye. Leave the phone lines open for you here at 831-900-5773. We've got about 17 minutes left in the show. Let's get some email questions, see what's going on, unless you want to give me a call, 831-900-5773. Also wanted to give a super special shout-out out there to Penelope. Love you, kiddo. Doing great. I hope you're feeling okay. All right, so the first one here, email question, says PC is doing strange things. Says newly formatted PC with everything wiped out to oblivion. I just go to reinstall my apps and my games. The only thing, the thing is I have... That is a flawless widescreen downloaded for widescreen capability, and a volition mod for Elden Ring. Okay, a graphical one. So the person has a brand new computer, except they downloaded a program for their screen to make it super wide, and then they download another program as a mod for a video game. Now, I always see mods for video games, and I go, oh, that's most likely what it was. Whatever your problem is, it's most likely that mod, because that's how it was back in the day. But there are good mods out there. So anyway, I don't think there's any kind of malware or anything, but it does weird things. So when I go to check my Ethernet activity, because I have a gigabit, megabit, 1,000 megabits per second, or a gigabit card, and normal web pages are taking sweet seconds to load. Sweet seconds. Meanwhile, other people in my house with a way worse PC are accessing it instantly. Okay. I see a lot of spikes. I'm not sure if it's normal. It goes from 900 to 2 to 0 and back and forth. Also, when I'm downloading from Steam, the download doesn't get more than 50 megabits per second. I used to have 100, and at some points it just drops down to 0 and then continues. Found out that most people say that when it happens on slow solid-state drives or hard drives, but the thing is I have a Samsung 980 Pro 1 terabyte, which is a very fast solid-state drive. It's a 1 terabyte. I also have where I have my SO and my Elden Ring. That's the game. That shouldn't, the drive shouldn't have the problems or any of the downloads, because that's what blah, blah, blah. Yes, no problem. It has 5,000 megabit download writing, 7,000 worth of reading. So the drive is healthy and able to take data. Okay. Your hard drive, it wouldn't just be your hard drive downloading slow. It would be like, you'd see everything would be downloading slow. Everything would be moving like sludge. You'd click on something and wait. You'd do something, wait. Anything you'd input to the computer, you'd have to wait. And that would be a slow hard drive, slow solid state drive. That would be really just chunking along, right? Okay. And also it says when I'm closing apps, even if it's just one empty Chrome homepage, it'll sometimes take 2 seconds to close when it should be almost instant. Even if I'm downloading something, it shouldn't slow the PC so much. It has a RTX 4080, crazy card, an i5 12600 KF, which is a very strong processor, 32 gigs of RAM, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. This sounds like a networking issue. I would actually look at your router and not your computer. It could. So it sounded like you were on a wired connection. Have you tried Wi-Fi? Have you gotten a Wi-Fi card and just tried plugging it in? Anytime I have an issue like that where it's really slow and other machines on the network are going just fine, I get a different card and I try it. And if the different card, wireless, wired, doesn't matter, is still that slow and still going like sludge, then I know it's something with my computer and I've got to deal with that. But if I get another card and I plug it in and everything's fine and it's just all of a sudden it's fixed, I know it's either something to do with the card or with the driver for the card, right? And a lot of times with networking cards, this sounds kind of crazy, but if you delete the driver and then just do a search real quick for to search for hardware or even restart the computer, it will then search for hardware again, see the card, I have this new driver card, or I have this new Wi-Fi card, or this new wired Ethernet card. It will then download and install the driver from the Windows partition inside the computer and reinstall those drivers, therefore making the device work again. Or we may have to delete it completely, download the new drivers from the website or from the wherever you got the card from, either from the manufacturer's website or from your pre-build website, and just reinstall it as well. I'm curious if anyone else in the house is dealing with those slow connections. But I'd also try another game too. See if you can download something free, like from the Epic Game Launcher. Download something like Rocket League or Fortnite or something. That's a kind of a quick, lower style game, and see if it goes quick. See if the network speeds are still garbage with that. And it could be, when I download stuff from Steam, those downloads are compressed. It's like everyone's downloading stuff, right? There's a lot of people on. So there's a lot of people on, then you kind of have to fit in with the rest of traffic. And a lot of times that means that your downloads are going to be slow or throttled or anything. So I usually don't use Steam or any of those type of programs to see my speeds. I would go to speedtest.net and run a quick test and see if your jitter is really high, see if your ping rate is really high, see if your speeds are matching other machines at that rate. If you are plugged in, what is that cable? Can you change your cable? Just real quick to try. Can you try a different port on the router? There's many places we can go here to try. But most of the time you don't have to buy anything new. You can go into things like toggling cache settings on the drive and stuff like that, but I'm curious also about your performance monitor. If the performance monitor is on, it's maxed at 100 and the machine is like chunking along really slowly, something else is taking up those clicks, right? Something else is taking up the processing. So is there a piece of software that's running in the background? Is it a piece of malware? It could be many things like that, right? That could be one of any of these things that could be doing that. But I would start from any one of those routes. The easiest thing to do would be, at this point, if you're plugged in with a wired connection, go to another port in the router. Or get a different card. Get one of those little USB Wi-Fi cards, plug the thing in, unplug the cable, let it install itself, run on Wi-Fi, and see if it's any better. And I bet you're going to get a different operating environment with one of those things, and that's going to tell you a lot about what's going on. Okay, another one. Spilled my computer. Spilled water in my computer 6 hours ago. Everything works. Am I good? Oh, boy. Okay. Earlier today, spilled about a quarter to a third cup of water on my laptop, specifically on the keyboard. Okay. I immediately dried it, returned it. I dried it and returned so the water would not go inside. Returned. So I left it upside down. Okay, left it upside down about 6 hours and never turned it on or stopped working. Yeah, but you've got an internal battery. Just saying. Okay. Anyway, I still turned it off to avoid any issue. Now I've turned it on and everything works. The screen, the keyboard, the pad, nothing's wrong with my laptop. Does this mean I'm out of the woods, or is there any possibility that things could go wrong? Okay. So I'm really stressed out. I can't afford to lose my laptop. Okay. It's not the water, right? Like if you took, like when you look at those, they have like these fancy like cooled machines that are like submerged in filtered, special water. And there it is. There's a machine running in water, sitting there, submerged in water, right? And you go, okay, water isn't the problem. Water isn't the problem. It's the minerals and the things that are in our drinking water that cause shorting, that cause connection errors, that cause corrosion, and will cause problems. So yeah, today you don't have an issue. That machine is forever compromised. Any machine that comes into our shop with water damage is a compromised machine unless you replace everything that water touched. And I'm talking, that water could go everywhere on the board. And if we're talking about the keyboard, we're talking about the main board, we're talking about RAM, we're talking about the hard drive possibly, we're talking about the power button, we're talking about anything that the water touched could be bad. And so I usually don't trust a water-spilled machine after it's happened. I have taken machines as experiments. Like I have had one client who got a brand new MacBook and left their old MacBook with us, and it was fairly new. Like the MacBook was only like a year old, and it was just water ruined the screen. You could still see it, but it was all screwed up, and the keyboard and everything worked just fine. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take this with me and use this as my road Mac until it dies. And I used it for a full year, and then it finally died. After a year, it stopped working. So I was able to really, really beat on a machine that had been completely compromised by water. Dead. It was dead to the world. And then it came back alive like a month later. It just like dried out or whatever happened. Even after we ran through our drying cycles, whatever was lost connection made connection again. So I was like, okay. And I tried using it, and it worked for a year. Did I trust it? No. Did I put anything important on it? No. Did I back it up every single time I used it? Yes. Right? So, because I knew the next time I turned it on, it was going to be its last time, or this time I'm on it right now is its last time that's going to exist. So, the impurities is what it's about. So, if you spilled stuff on the machine, yeah, you're fine now. Who knows what's down the road, and who knows what kind of corrosion you're going to have. You might be just fine. You might not be. Again, I wouldn't trust that machine. I'd make sure everything is backed up. Anything you do on that machine, if you save it locally, that it's automatically backed up to like a Google Drive folder, to a Dropbox folder, to something. So that in case that drive lets go, that machine lets go, you don't have to worry about any of the data that's in it. You've already got it backed up. If you can, isopropyl alcohol to rinse everything would rinse some of the stuff off of the machine. But again, people dumping isopropyl alcohol into a machine, usually people don't really like to do that. But it's just going to be corrosion later on. It could be days, weeks, months, or even tomorrow. Could be anything. So, if there's online guides to do it. I usually don't recommend doing it, but it works, and it will clean out. Isopropyl alcohol is just fine to clean out. But again, advising somebody to dump isopropyl alcohol on their laptop after another water spill is just something we just don't really like to recommend. Yeah. Okay. This is a good question. I like this one. It says, how is it that... they're all good questions, everybody. You can always email me, Luigi at pleasurepointcomputers.com or Luigi at KSQD.org. I love the questions, but some of the questions I'm like, ooh, that's a great question, because sometimes I'm not really sure either. Like this person said, how is it that my 15-year-old Western Digital hard drive has no bad sectors at all? Is it safe to continue to use to store data? It's a 160 gig Western Digital Blue hard drive. And I would get a smart status off of it. But I mean, so drive failures are kind of random. Sometimes decades, sometimes it'll die, within a month. 15 years is an absolute win on that one. But any single drive is never safe, right? You always want to make sure you have your data, they say, into 3 places. 3 places would make it so that you have no worries about the data ever being lost. 2 places is good. 2 places is good. So if you have that drive, just make sure it's backed up. Back it up someplace if you can, and keep using it. And I would get constant smart statuses off of it using either Crystal Disk Info, and just make sure you're kind of monitoring it more than you would a normal other drive. But sure, it says but this is also like I had this whole thing written up where I basically I had purchased a number of drives. I went to it wasn't Amazon. I think I went to either Best Buy or something, and I had to buy a few drives for 2 for a customer and then 2 for like the shelf, let's say. So I buy these drives, and they're all the same, like Western Digital Blue drives. They're all 1 terabyte. They're all same style, desktop hard drives and stuff. They're all so 4 boxes exactly the same thing. And 2 of them I'm going to install into a customer's machine now. So I open up the first box, I put it in, I start to install the operating system. It's just not work. It's just weird. It's like kind of fighting me a little bit. It's not running as smooth as I'm like, that's just kind of odd or whatever. So turn off, turn on again, try to get it again. It's doing exactly the same thing. I pull it off and I go, this machine was running just fine. Put my other hard drive in it, runs just fine. I'm like, okay. So I look at this brand new hard drive I just pulled out of the box. I go and do a smart test on it, and it's on like 55% health. The drive's like basically dead, and it's brand new. I broke the seal myself. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I take out the next one out of the box, and before even installing anything, before doing anything, I take it from the sealed bag, open the seal in the bag, put it into my hard drive tester. It's also at like 60% health, like virtually dead drive. And then I was like, okay. And so I opened the third one. The third one's fine. And the fourth one also had like an issue, but it wasn't too bad. But I looked at the batch numbers, and they're all in the same batch. So this hard drive batch had a problem. So I had to take back 3 drives out of my 4, and I ended up putting up a drive into the customer's hard drive. But they all failed like that, right? And that was within days, hours, minutes of turning on. So they're tested and they're good, but it just sometimes that happens. And sometimes the drive failures are pretty random. And sometimes you can have a drive that lasts 15 years. Some of these older drives have really nice bearings in them. They were built a little bit beefier than they should have been or that they needed to, but back then they didn't really know that. So they were just building them beefy and they lasted a little bit longer. Think about your old Nintendo. Like, can you find an old Nintendo in a thrift store and buy it and take it home and it basically works? Because when you take that thing apart, you look at the solder, they were globbing solder on that thing. There is no connection. Every connection is doused in solder, perfectly just blam, blam, blam. It is built to last. And things like that really aren't done that much anymore because that stuff costs money. So, yeah, it's crazy with the enclosures. I had the whole story written out here. I tried one of them and it wasn't dead. Tried the second one, it was dead, and the third one was fine. The fourth one was kind of wonky. It's really weird. So, yeah, it's very strange. So, this guy said he said at first he had a first batch of 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte Western Digital green drives. The green drives used to drop all the time. But they had the same story. Bought one, it was bad. Bought the second one, it was also bad. And he's like, what's going on? And looked at the batch numbers and they were similar. So they came off that same run, right? Yeah, they say so. The Western Digital green drives, there's Western Digital blue, red, black, purple, green, and they're all for different things. Like, let's see if I can remember here. Like, blue is just general use, red is for security systems, purple is also for red is for raids and for storage. Purple is for surveillance, green is for energy efficiency, and black is for like heavy duty use, like gaming, etc. and stuff. So you can buy a drive based on that. But back in the day, the green ones were supposed to be economical, but they would turn off and then they wouldn't turn back on. Problems. So that's not great with a hard drive. So 2 minutes here left in the show. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So this person. So that's actually really long. We're going to talk about that next time. There's a CAPTCHA code. Someone said they want to do something with crypto. Copied a stupid thing, didn't check. Put it into my windows.r. So this person literally got a command from somebody that said, "Oh, you should run this in your windows.r," and they put that in, and it basically handed over their cookie file to this person and handed them their passwords. Super bad. Don't want to do that. We're going to talk about that next week. It's a pretty involved step, so you have to actually go through. If somebody asks you to put in a code into Windows R, that's not me or someone else that you explicitly trust, don't do it. That is running a command line to the kernel of the operating system, surpassing a lot of the other stuff that's out there. So just don't do that if you can. But one thing I did want to talk about before we got, my mom broke her phone and lost all of her logins or two-factor authentication. The screen is completely shattered. Black touch no longer works. The screen is a Samsung something. Wondering if it'd be better just to do data recovery or get a USB-C hub to talk to it. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you have two-factor authentication on these phones and you need to get into your account and you can't get into your account, the only way to do that really, without recovering and doing all this hoops and loops and jumps and stuff, just fix the phone. The phone fix will be less than $200. The recovery is going to start at $300, $350 or more. So just fix the phone. You'll be back exactly where you were. Get everything transferred off of it, and then you can turn around and sell the phone for basically the price of the screen replacement, and you'll be back where you were. We'll talk about that next week as well. I had a number of people ask me about that. I had a client that came in with something similar to that, and we're going to talk about it next week. If I missed your call tonight here on the Computer Man Show, you can always reach me by email, Luigi, Luigi, at KSQD.org, or Luigi, Luigi, at PleasurePointComputers.com. Remember to tune into the Computer Man Show Tuesday nights from 6 to 7 p.m. here on 90.7 FM, KSQD, KSQD, or on Apple Podcasts. Download our podcast today. I'd like to thank all my listeners and my callers. Thank you, KSQD, Sandy Stone, Harold Fessing, Bridget Goodby, Debbie Kibber, John Sandage, all Santa Cruz, Nicola Tuzza, the Woz, Mr. Gason, Torvalds, and of course, the humble Electron. Thank you again, Santa Cruz. I'm your Computer Man here on KSQD, KSQD 90.7 FM, and online at KSQD.org. Stay tuned right here for Be in the Night. I hope you all have a positively charged evening. Until next time.
I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. Computer man, he is your friend. He gonna help you again and again. So if you have a question or two, he's got the answer just for computer man, and I am ready for questions now. Thank you.
Mr. Computer Man, how much is 2 plus 2?
4.
Mr. Computer Man, how do you spell cat?
C-A-T.
Mr. Computer Man, how do you spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
With letters. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. I am the computer man. I can do anything you can. Computer man is very wise. He speaks the truth, he never lies. So if there's something you don't understand, just ask the computer man.
Hi, Mr. Computer Man. My name is Jenny. I have a question for you.
Wait, Jenny does not compute. What is your number, please?
Number? I don't have a number. I'm a person.
A person? A person? A man!